Hey guys, what is up? My name is Megan. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe, and welcome to February's round of Candyland Picks My TBR. It is the month of love, so I am wearing pink for the occasion. If you have not been here before, I will leave a playlist of my TBR game up in the cards if you want to follow up on rules, but it's a pretty simple game. I use the board and every color has a different prompt. I will put the list of prompts right here, and I spin and I move to the different prompts and I try to fulfill them with books. If I fall on the same color 3 times during a game, I have to add an extra spin, and that's pretty much it. If I get to the end of the game, I get to reward myself somehow, either buy a book, remove a prompt, whatever I feel I want to do that month. Now, I am doing incredibly well on my January TBR. However, I'm not sure I'll be 100% done by the time February rolls around, so instead of starting with 5 spins, we will be starting with 6, as I did not finish last month's TBR. I think that's all I have to say for now. Without further ado, let's hop on in. Spin number 1 fell on a double yellow, and that means it is a subscription box or special edition. Very excited to kick off with this because a book I have been dying to read is A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft. This is a stunning edition of this book, and this is basically a Regency fantasy. It is a YA, and it has to do with fashion, and it just sounds like such a magical, whimsical time. I am super excited for this one. Honestly, I think this might be one of my favorites of the year. I don't know why I have this inkling that it just is going to hit every single thing I really love in a book. So very excited for this. Excited that I get to put it on my TBR right off the bat, and it's not super long. It's short of 400 pages, which for fantasy is always great. So yeah, moving on to spin number 2. Spin number 2 brought us to a blue, which is a recent purchase, and for that I'm going with something that might be a little bit surprising, and that is Blue Lock Volume 3. I feel like this matches me perfectly today. So I did not vlog or actually film any content in the month of January because it has been overwhelming. However, during my spare time, I actually picked up the first volume of Blue Lock and immediately became obsessed with the series, so much so that I now have 6 volumes of this manga, and I only owned 1 at the beginning of this month. So I'm up to volume 3. I'm obsessed with this. This is a story that mixes soccer with a sort of Squid Game element. Not that the characters actually die off, but basically there's 300 teens that are in this arena and are competing to become the ultimate member of Japan's soccer team. And if you get kicked out or eliminated, you can never again compete to become that key player, and so their soccer dreams are essentially over if they are kicked out of Blue Lock. And I have been binging these. I think about these all the time. I am obsessed. If you have read the series, please let me know. I want to find more people to talk about it with, because this is definitely my standout manga read ever since I started reading it. So volume 3 and most likely more volumes of this will be read in February. Moving on to spin number 3. Spin number 3 fell on Orange, which is a book that was released before 2024. For that, I am going with Keeper of the Lost City's Exile by Shannon Messenger. This is the second book in the Keeper of the Lost City series, and this was published a lot before 2024, I believe. 2013, so it's been a while. If you are unaware, I am currently hosting a Keepers of the Lost City read along. It started in January on my channel. I'm going to have a live show every month for the books. These are middle grade books, and I have been obsessed with the first book, which spoiler on my thoughts. I can't get enough of this series. This is amazing. It's exactly the kind of middle grade I personally really love. The first book follows a main character named Sophie Foster who thought she was human her entire life but never quite fit in with her family, with her peers at school. She was always smarter than everyone. She just wasn't completely included in society. And at the beginning of this book, she learns that she's actually an elf and she is taken to another world, and from there everything kind of spirals. She learns about her true identity, her set of skills, and she is also in danger. This is currently a 9-book series, but I believe more books will be published. I don't know when, but I don't think the series is actually complete. These get progressively chunkier, as I said, but I could not be more excited to read this. So if you want to join, I will leave in the cards the information for that readathon, but it's not too late to join. Moving on to spin number 4. Spin number 4 brought us to Yellow. Again, I am excited because I get to read more subscription books, special editions, but that means if we spin another Yellow, we add an extra spin. So for this, I'm not going to read the entirety of this chunker, but I'm going to read the first book in the Bargainer series by Laura Thalassa. This is the Onyx Omnibus, like the whole series. I don't have time for this many, I don't even know, like 974 pages in 1 month, but I will be reading the first book. This is like I think it's a fantasy romance series, and I've heard quite a lot of people talk about it. I've always been curious, but I hated the way the books look, and I know that sounds super superficial, but when I heard that this was going to be the Onyx bind-up, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna hold off and read it in this format, which, like, this is friggin' stunning. So yes, this is going on the TBR. Next spin brought us yet again to Yellow, and that means we're going to have to add an extra spin, so we are now up to 7. That also means I need to find even more subscription box books to read. But I thought, because you know me, and you know I love my poll picks, which I've been putting out all month. Thank you to all of you who have been answering those polls. It's been very helpful. I thought I'd make a poll pick of subscription box books that are romance for February, the month of love, and you guys let me know which of these 3 I will be reading. One of them is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is the Fairy Loot edition, which I have yet to haul. Actually, none of these 3 I have hauled yet. I have tried this series once before. I was very unsure about how I was going to feel. A lot of people say the first book is the weakest, but I want to read them in order. So Twisted Love is the first option. Then we have From Lugob with Love by Mariana Zapata, which is, again, a Fairy Loot edition. This is like a slow burn ice skating romance. I feel like it feels cozy in the month of February because it's still cold. And the third and last option for this poll is going to be the Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This is the Bookish Box book that just came, but that was the July pick, so we're not even going to talk about that. But these are the 3 choices. You can answer the poll in my community tab or via comments if you want to let me know which one of these 3 I should read in the month of February. Moving on to the next spin. The next spin is again Yellow, and honestly, I'm starting to feel like it's a little bit too much Yellow, and I haven't been collecting special editions for that long, so I'm like, what am I reading? But I actually, unfortunately, did not have time to finish What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez, which I freaking love this edition. This is a YA fantasy with Egyptian vibes. Our main character goes to Egypt, and it's just the whole aesthetic of this story is amazing. I've been listening to it via audiobook as well, so I will be adding this on and continuing and hopefully finishing in the month of February. I have really been enjoying this so far, though. I get good vibes from this book. Moving on to what will hopefully be our last spin. And we finally made it to our last spin number 7, which we fell on green, and green is a random prompt from this jar, so let's pick and find a book that works. Let's go with this one right here. A book with a map. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. First book I looked at that I wanted to read has a map, so it's a win, and that is Blood Mercy by Vila Roth. This is a big book. It is almost 700 pages long. This is the first book in a fantasy romance series, and not everybody loves this. I feel like you either love the series or you DNF book 1. So I did only purchase the first book, but the covers are stunning, and for some reason I'm feeling my core that this is going to become a new obsession, and I would love to be right because there's so many books in the series. They're super beautiful and they're chunky, so you know, you get a lot of reading time and a lot of time with these characters. So again, right now I can't really tell you what it's about, but I've heard a lot of people speak of these. I've listened to a lot of like reviews of them that are non-spoiler on BookTube. I know Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy really enjoys this. Becca has talked about these books on her channel, but she's one of the people who has DNF. Just to show you, here's a map. And we all also love supporting indie authors on this channel, so let's do it. Let's move on to the part of the video where we use jars, spinner wheels, all of that for other prompts I am trying to challenge myself in completing. I talked about these in my January edition of Candyland, so if you're unfamiliar with what is happening, you can refer back to that video. But essentially we're going to pick a book that is a Candyland throwback, so a book I have already mentioned in a Candyland TBR that I have not read, a random number generator, a KU pick, and a TBR jar. I'm not doing special editions extra pick this month because there's just so many on my TBR. So for a Candyland throwback this month, I decided to obviously add Skandar and the Phantom Rider because I've talked about this book so many times. But again, when this book released, I was super hyped for it, and then I felt ill and injured, and then life spiraled out of control, and here we are 2 months before the release of Skandar 3, and I have yet to read this. I tandem read this, so I listen to the audiobook at the same time I read, because to me it's the best experience, because I really love these Skandar audiobooks. If you don't know what the series is, I have a review for the first book. I will leave it in the cards for you guys, but it's like one of my favorite all-time middle grade series. I love the first one so much. So, book 2, baby, let's do it. Next, because I still have the little jar beside me, let's do a random prompt pick. Did I have pick 2? Okay, let's go with this, which is a spicy romance. I feel like we have a lot of choices here. Let me find one. I don't know if the book I chose is all that spicy, but we're doing it anyways. Sometimes it's hard to know until you actually read the book, and that is Broken Miles by Claire Kingsley. This was a special edition from Hello Lovely. This is a second chance romance that is set on a winery. It's like two people who were divorced and then come back together because of this winery that I believe is like almost out of business, and they rekindle their romance. It just sounds friggin' lovely. It's the first book in a companion series. I believe we follow all the brothers or the family that owns the winery. I love this cover, you guys. Okay, so we're adding this on. I'll let you guys know if there's any spice at the end of the month. Next, for random number generator, again, I did not have time to input the rest of the data, so we're still gonna go from 1 to 181 in my Notion spreadsheet and pick from there. So let me generate a number. Number 2. We're getting really low numbers for some reason. Book number 2 on my list is one I've been wanting to read, and I just couldn't really fit it in any prompts. It is Before the Sunset by Laura Pavlov. This is part of the Cottonwood series. I have not read the other ones yet. I don't care. This is the one I'm interested in. This is about two people who were best friends since they were children, but they had made this pact that like they would never be in a relationship, but I think there might have been feelings there. Our main female character goes away, and that makes our male character realize that he feels very lost without her. And when she comes back, she's like, I have a proposition for you. Would you be my fake boyfriend to show my ex fiance I've moved on? He's an actor who needs to clean up his image, so it kind of works for both of them to pretend. And I guess their feelings get the best of them and they end up falling in love. This is dual perspective. I forgot to mention this is also dual perspective, so I'm hyped for both of these. But I just think this is going to be such a beautiful romance, and I'm excited because I have a feeling I'm really going to enjoy Laura Pavlov, but I haven't read her books yet, so this is it, folks. And the last thing we're going to do is a manga spinner wheel, so I'm going to set it up, screen record, and we'll go from there. So last month we got The Witch of Artemis, which honestly wasn't too psyched about, so I'm excited to see what we get this month. Let me scoot over so I can insert the screen recording, and let's go. I'm hoping for something fun. What's it gonna be? Okay, not a bad choice. So the spinner wheel chose for us this month Real Account, which is like a social media game that turns kind of deadly. If you lose all your followers, you die in real life. I think there's gonna have a lot of social commentary in this that I'm extremely excited to see how everything unravels. I don't know how many volumes of this there are, but I got this for $1 off of Facebook Marketplace, and I thought it was intriguing enough. So we're gonna add it to the TBR. There's honestly just too many to hold and be like, this is my TBR, but there are a lot of books on here, so I'm assuming there's like 12 or something like that. I'm hoping again to at least read 50% of these. That would be the ultimate goal with prioritizing my Candyland TBR. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm hoping to be able to put out more content for you in the month of February. Don't forget to go and answer the poll for which of the romance books I should pick. Don't forget to also like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you very soon with another video, guys. Bye! Happy reading!